We've got Sarah Moxham here today, who is an entrepreneur, and we've also got the director of Galaxy Real Estate, Ash, aka Mother Galaxy. So obviously, I think the topic of conversation today is going to be women in the workplace. But I think we want to make it a little bit deeper than the generic conversations that usually happen out there. Tell us about your struggles, tell us about your success, your milestones, and any advice for anyone else that might be watching.
I'll let you go first, Ash.
Thank you so much for inviting us here, first of all. Thank you so much, Sarah, for being with us today here. Any success, it always have a story behind. If I talk about myself, being born and brought up in Afghanistan and today being in UK, it's a big transition of my life. But one thing is always there even in Afghanistan. Being such a young girl, still I always had a dream to be an entrepreneur. And my mother always used to say, being a girl, you need to learn how to do cleaning, you need to learn how to brought up your children, the cooking. And I always used to say, no, I want to go and do business with my dad. My dad, he used to travel a lot to Korea, Japan. And I'm like, I want to go with him. I want to build an empire. So that's where the dreams were there. But then I just got married, having very young 2 daughters. But then the dreams were always there. I never let my dreams die. I always worked towards my dream. Even there were very baby steps, but I never gave up. I struggled a lot. I struggled around, I would say, from 2002 till 2016, 14 years I struggled. Since then, when in 2016, Galaxy came into my life, and then that's where the story or the journey of success started. But it was not easy. I had a lot of support from my family, from my daughter. I guess people behind my success is my husband and my daughters. Because being from Afghanistan or being an Afghan background, you will not expect that husband or the children will support a woman to become an entrepreneur or to work or to build an empire. But obviously, my husband supported me. My daughter is the biggest support of my life.
Sarah, obviously, I've been given a little bit of background information on you. So, from my understanding, you have multiple businesses in multiple countries, I want to say globally. So, what have you experienced? Is it different struggles in different nations, or is it generically the same? What are the difficulties that you've faced, and what have you done to overcome that?
Yes, there are different struggles in different nations. Where to start with that? I think there are struggles everywhere. So that's the most important thing to know. It's whether you choose to build a business locally, whether you choose to build it in one jurisdiction, whether you have 1 employee or 500, there are struggles. So it's choosing what struggles you want to take.
Yeah.
So for us, the global expansion really took shape in a large way in the last 2 years, post-COVID. So I've been in business for 16 years. I set up my company when I was 20 years old. Well, actually 19, studying at London School of Economics. Unlike you, I didn't always want to be an entrepreneur, Ash. I didn't know what I wanted to do. That's the truth. But I knew what I didn't want to do. So I knew that I didn't want to conform. I knew that I didn't want to be told what time I had to go and have a lunch break. I knew that freedom was a really big part and a really big goal of my life. That was instilled by my mum. My mum was a school teacher. My dad was a church pastor. And my dad became disabled when I was the age of 14. He had an operation that went wrong.
Oh.
So my mum's been his carer for like 22 years, right?
Nice.
So for her, she always encouraged us, 3 girls, she had 3 daughters, she would always encourage us to be free, to live whatever that meant. And she would always call me the rebellious one. So breaking all the boundaries, breaking all the rules. And she's now my massive supporter and massive encourager, and massively supports my global expansion and the company's global expansion. So my business, it's all women in the office.
I love that.
Which is super fun. And that comes with its own set of challenges as well, right? It has its upsides and downsides. But yes, culturally, I would say the most interesting market that we've begun working in is Dubai. The most interesting, the most challenging, the most culturally different.
Is it the most rewarding?
Depends what you call reward.
No.
I like challenge.
Yeah.
So it is the most challenging. If everything's a bit too easy,
Then you will
know,
not
you're
enjoy
bored.
it. It
Yeah.
will be bored.
you're bored.
Yeah.
So I love the challenge. And I love culturally that it's got such diversity.
Yeah.
I think that brings it with it a richness.
Yeah, it's same like my mom. She, even now, when we sit and she goes, Ash, I just think you should have born a boy, not a girl. Like, I don't understand you. What you guys are doing. Always she's like that. She goes, it's a mistake that you're just born as a woman. But then she understands. She understands me well. And then she knows that I never give up. But then I just think to us, being successful is the team that we have. Without my team, without my business partners, we couldn't have gone global. It's the support and I guess the like-minded people. I would say our mindsets and our goal and our focus is like we are 4 directors in Galaxy, and we all have got the same thinking, same vision, same goal. And I guess that's what is rewarding to us, because my business partners, they understand, as a business partner, we understand each other. And now one of our directors, Ashwal Babur, he is looking after our Dubai office, and hopefully
It's a big collaboration in Dubai as well.
we had a very big collaboration in Dubai. And here again, my other 2 business partners, Mr. Raj Grover and Mr. Sunny Grover, we have got some big plans, and those plans will only be achieved if they're there with us as a team. Yeah.
So Inushka, tell us about you.
Oh my God. I think I consider myself very fortunate, obviously, to have a mum and a dad and, again, family. Also, I think we were a little bit not so traditional. I think for someone my age, obviously I'm not that old, but typically, you kind of finish your A-levels and then you go to university and you do a grad role. But for me, again, it was quite different. I also went into like corporate quite early on. I think I was about 16. I was still doing my GCSEs and I went into banking, which I loved. And I think that might have spoiled me a little bit, because I went into corporate and I was like, I just want to work. I just want to earn money. I don't think I was very book smart. So I was like, I don't know if I want to continue education, rack up a loan, and then, I don't have any job security. It's never going to be guaranteed. So I went down the route of an apprenticeship instead. So I worked for Microsoft, which is obviously, one of the biggest companies in the world. I was there for a good amount of time, and at the end of the day, obviously I had to come back to my roots, I would say, because I was always involved with Galaxy. For me, mum was doing Galaxy 9 to 5, and then I was doing Galaxy 5 till 9. Like after school in the evenings, I'd be focusing on what I could do to contribute to their business as well. So yeah, I think I had, obviously the foundation was there, which I also supported, but then that led me into obviously taking over my own branch in Slough, again, along with 3 very business-minded business partners, which I can really appreciate as well. And then we've also had a journey of 4 years in my branch now as well. And we'll just see where the future takes us. But yeah, very different background, very different journey, obviously, to yourselves. But yeah, it's been interesting.
Yeah. So when with her and with mine, it's a lot variation because I did my degree in law from Westminster University in
Yeah.
2006, and I always wanted to be a criminal lawyer, and then I ended up in real estate. So today, when I sit down and when I think, I can think, okay, or I can predict my future. Okay, this is what I want. This is how I want. But if I go back in my past, and when I just say, oh, I predicted very different to what I was to what I am today, from the criminal lawyer to be a real estate entrepreneur, there is no resemblance. But it is what it is.
From what I'm
Yeah.
hearing, either way, whether you're a criminal lawyer or you're in real estate, you've always been very focused on like male dominant sort of industries. Because I think even to be a criminal lawyer, like you need to be quite strong minded, you need to be like very level headed. And that's not for the weak hearted. So you've always been, yeah, very career driven to do something that someone else, like another woman might not always be so comfortable doing. And that's always been your focus.
And I'd say a lot of industries that are, high powered, impacting the world, making large amounts of money. What industries are not male dominated?
Yeah.
Most of them, I guess, it's 90%.
Where the money comes from.
Yeah,
That's
90%. I do, as you say, yes, it is a male dominated. And then I do had faced sometimes, when we are sitting or when we are in a meeting with certain people, certain community, I wouldn't name, but then when you're a businesswoman, I don't shy just to go and handshake and talk or just get involved into the conversations. But I faced this a lot where even I just put my hand forward for handshake and people just
Take a step back.
yeah, they just step back and I'm like, okay. I just shake my head and that's it. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you face that in your business as well? Obviously, hospitality is...
No.
That's
The opposite. The opposite.
Okay.
The opposite often happens because we are a staffing provider.
Okay.
That's my core business. That's the business I've done for 16 years. So we actually have the opposite challenge where people are too over-friendly.
Oh,
Because you can imagine we're
wow.
sending, hostesses or, bartenders or whatever it might be. 90% of them are women just because that's the nature of what the temporary workforce often are and want.
Yeah.
So we actually have the counteracting thing where we have men who are over, friendly, sexually inappropriate, and we've had to do a lot of work in our business about empowering women on their own personal boundaries and also legally what's right. And we've been part of creating a lot of policy and procedure for that industry to protect women better.
Wow,
That's
it's two
interesting.
different
Extremes,
challenges.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you have in place? Obviously, you've mentioned, your entire workforce is just women. So how do you obviously prevent it? Like you said, there's like legal practices in place and procedures. So what do you do to make sure that obviously your team is comfortable and safe?
Yeah. It's twofold. I see it. So it's empowering an individual, and then it's also looking at the structure of your operation. So having conversations, and we've held a lot of kind of open groups, open conversations where our contractors have been welcome to come, to have space to talk, to share, to be part of that conversation. We have also a policy where each individual can escalate because we're not... it's a temporary workforce.
Yeah.
So it doesn't fall necessarily under the law. Like say you worked in corporate, you would have a whole HR department that would escalate these kind of things. You'd have governing bodies that would go in to support. None of that exists in our industry. So you have to self-govern. So we have to individually deal with each case as it will come in. And then structurally, we've created contracts, policy and procedure with an organisation called Good Night Out, who specialise in ending sexualisation in festival and nightlife world. And so we've brought that into all of the clients that we work
Is there
with.
like unions and trusts?
None.
No?
None. Yeah, it's very
Okay.
unlike corporate worlds where you'd
Yeah.
have these places where you could go. It's self-governed in our industry, very much.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's very
That's
different to
interesting.
what I face and what you face.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be uncommon for me to be sat at a table with certain clients and have comments 25,000 times that you're so beautiful. Oh, you're so beautiful. Or how about this one? Or how about, of course you're successful. Look at you.
Oh, okay.
It is often
Like it comes down
you're
to your
gauged on
exterior,
how you
right,
look.
okay.
Exterior, and it's not an industry that shies away from bringing that on around the table.
I guess with us, it's
like
very
either end of the
different.
spectrum.
It's even though if we get the compliments, but the compliments were in a very professional manner. If someone has to say something, I guess they will think twice before they just say something
course.
to us. Yeah, because I guess it's the industry that is making impact. With us, it's not like that.
I mean, there have been multiple times where myself, as a younger entrepreneur building business, or other people have reported unsolicited pics have been sent when you're booking shifts. It'll be like, yeah, could I have this many people for this day? And then the next picture would be completely and utterly inappropriate. That would be a common practice. Yeah, very
It's
questionable
Yeah.
and yeah.
How did you overcome that then? Obviously, you've been doing it since age of 16
18.
years. You said you've been in
Yeah.
the business. So how do you Galaxy's been around for about 7 or 8 years.
8 years now.
She's had hurdles, and only I know the truth behind how she overcomes them, and the discussions that happen, and the conversations and the meetings and the constant back and forth. So how do you overcome that? And personally, and with your team that you work with as well, it's almost like when you mentioned, it was like, of course you're successful. It's like a backhanded compliment. Like, you're only successful because you're an attractive woman, or, you don't have the brains, you've got the looks. That's so interesting. Like, I've never experienced it. So it's really interesting to hear like the other side.
To
as
us,
well.
we I think with me especially, I face the challenges other way.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, I had faced a lot of challenges. Just recently, not this year, last year. The capabilities were questioned and all those things. But then being a very strong-minded person, I was like, no, I will never give up.
Yeah. So your question was how do we deal with that? It's situation by situation, and you sometimes overanalyze yourself. So that's the individual place. You've gone, I could have handled that better. What if I had said this? Or should I have done that? So you question yourself a lot, particularly at the beginning. Sometimes I choose my battles to fight.
Yeah.
So I think there's a power and a strength in disregarding comments, and that's in general. Sometimes saying nothing is the best form of saying something.
Just walk away from the situation. No, I guess that's previously I don't used to do that. I was like always just react. But then since last year, certain things happened, and then one of my journeys to Portugal, again, she booked it for us. That one journey, 3-day journey, had changed my whole behavior towards such comments or towards such situations. Now I just simply say, okay, you're saying it. I just don't react at that time. I just hold myself, though it's very, very difficult. You can't just hold it. But then, I hold, and then I wait for the right time. Yeah. It's not that I never respond. I wait for the right time, and then I respond. And I think carefully what to say and how to say it.
It's fantastic. I think that is one of the best skills in life. Mm-hmm. And I think it's power. The more reactive you are to every single thing that you said, that is said to you, the more actually you're giving away of yourself as well, what you think, what you believe. It's very emotional. It's very reactionary. I try to do business in as unemotional way as possible, and try to be as grounded and level-headed as possible. That doesn't mean I don't feel, That doesn't mean I'm not emotional. If you know me behind the scenes, I'm a very emotional person. But it's how do you measure that? And I always ask myself the question, what is the intention in what you're saying and what you're trying to bring forward?
Yeah, that's I guess the key thing. Anything what you say, and it's not only at intense situation or anything. I just say everyone should be like that. Whatever you say or whatever you think, you should have a purpose behind, and you should always think, okay, what could be the consequences? What could be the result? And then always, this is how I started doing it. I always put myself in other person's shoe, and then I just say, if I say this, and if that person will say this to me, how do I will react? On my own responses, I think of other person's reaction, putting myself into their places. That had changed a lot of things, a lot of things, and things are very different now. So I just always say, even to her, I always say, break. Don't.
My temper definitely gets the best of me sometimes. So there's definitely a lot to learn. And yeah, also with what you're saying, you have to pick your battles, which ones are worth, your energy to have that conversation or that debate, and which ones are best to just step back from. I'm learning. Hopefully, we are.
What's the outcome you want to take someone to?
Yeah.
I think that's the key thing. What is the outcome? What are you trying to achieve by this? If you're considering, let's create a fictitious scenario. If you're considering really doing business with this person, you've already made your mind up on that thing. There's lots of things on the table. How much do you want to fight the battle of a comment that they make or whatever in the moment versus how much do you favor that business deal that's on the table drawing people around back to that conversation? Now, it doesn't mean, like you said, that you'd let that slip, but it means there is a time and a place. If you're choosing to have a personal relationship with that person, go for drinks, go for dinner, really get to know them, then actually they do deserve to know that that was a hurtful comment or a harmful comment. But there's always a separate thing. It's not all mixed into one. And so it's being able to distinguish this. And I think working in Dubai really helped me with that, because there would be I'll tell you, there was a scenario where there was this particular client who would only let us send blonde Caucasian girls. Right? Now, if you had done that here, like shut down, business shut down, right? Now, what do you do in that situation? Do you say yes? Or do you bring your Western mindset of what is right or wrong? What is okay, what is not? Is that racism? Is that not? How do you see it? It's very collage. Do you try and change that person's view?
It's the customer service, I personally think that's the customer requirement. I wouldn't say, okay, from his prospect, it could be racism. Anyone can think it. But from your prospect, you have to provide the service to your client. If that's the requirement, you cannot just overcome to that. You have to. So I guess it's just the thinking, how people think about it. If you are a business-minded person, you will say, okay, it's a customer service, and then you just deal with it. But if you are from any other backgrounds, the mindset is very different. They will be like, name it, so many other different things.
Exactly. So, everything is perspective.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cultural differences, like you said, over here. And I think both of you are quite particular with that, where professional and personal and family, all of your boundaries there's no grey space. I think that's quite distinct between, you've got a business relationship and you've got a deal, or they've got family and you want to go for drinks. Dubai culturally is very different, and I think even their business is quite different. Obviously Mum and the 3 directors spent some time focusing on getting the Dubai office up and running. And quite often I would hear that, they're doing business in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening. And it's a very common culture to socially sit with them for dinner in the evening. And it's almost offensive if you don't do that, if you don't go for drinks afterwards. They do take offense to that, because for them, that's the culture. That is their business culture, where you sit with them socially as well. But
and that's my industry as well. My industry is
your
hospitality.
industry.
So
correct.
Often if you're going to work out a business deal, whatever, they're like, come for dinner or come to my place or let's have a drink. It's all done in that colloquial way, but Dubai definitely even more so.
To me, I find to me, living in Dubai or doing the business in Dubai is very difficult because with me, I'm very specific. My whole day and everything is very, very specific. Like I need to wake up early in the morning, do my meditation. Then I have to go to my gym. I have to go to my work. And then I have to be home cooking with family, with kids. Whereas in Dubai, it's all, I guess,
Whenever,
making other
wherever.
people happy. It's just out. I just, to me, it's very difficult.
You know what? Ash, I really connect with that. I feel like there's no structure.
Yes.
You'll just feel like you've worked the whole day.
Yeah.
And to me, everything needs to be, or it may be that I'm so much used to my routine, because if you sleep late, you wake up late, and when you wake up late, your whole day is unorganized. And I'm very organized, very organized, and that's one of my, I would say, strengths or my weaknesses. So I just think Dubai life is not for me. UK, whereas I know my schedule. In Dubai, there is no schedule. You're just out and about every minute. So, though the life is beautiful there, I wouldn't regret that. But for holidays, it's good. But then again, everyone has got their own way to do the business. Now, my partner, like Ashpal, he brought up in Dubai. To him, that is the right way to do the business because he's used to that. But for us, because we are here, so to me especially, I was like, oh, that's not, I can manage. You better manage yourself. So now, if we just go back, and I just think we all are so fortunate that we are here, or we are in Dubai, or we are in Western world. When I think of the background we come from, and now being a woman, still we say we are struggling, we are facing challenges. But then if we think of our background, where I had come from Afghanistan, and the women, the challenges they are facing, Sarah, what do you think about that?
I mean, the most recent laws are insane to my conception of reality. So just on my way here, I was telling my team the podcast that I'm doing today. And she said to me, watch this video. And it was this video of Afghan women in the 70s compared to Afghan women now. So we talk about in the Western world how much progress we're making as women. You know, women in the workplace, we're moving forward. Isn't it amazing, all the opportunity? And in the same moment in time, in a country that is right here, right now, it is the opposite.
It's gone backwards.
Yeah, so if I talk Afghanistan and women in Afghanistan in 70s, I would say at that time, Afghanistan was far more advanced than Western world. The women there were, the fashion, the beauty, everything was so advanced than Western world. And now when I think of what's going on with the women in Afghanistan, that they're not even allowed to go out, or they have to be fully covered. And me personally, born in Afghanistan, brought up in Afghanistan, and I'm just thinking, I just ask you, Inushka, if you were in Afghanistan right now, what do you think? How was your life?
Different, very different. I don't know, it's not the best way of looking at it, but obviously there's a huge concept of suppression for women there. They're obviously, I mean, I was looking it up online as well, but they're only allowed in healthcare and education. Otherwise, they pretty much have to be chaperoned even to travel, let alone to work anywhere else. So it's, they've gone back in time by the sounds of it, from what you say, how it was in the 70s or in the 80s, and then what it is today. It's, I think they face the real struggles, obviously.
That's the challenge, I will say. That's the challenge that those women are struggling and they are facing today.
Do you know anybody who's currently in Afghanistan?
In our community, sort of, you know, in our religion and our the community that our business sort of thrives in at the moment. Unfortunately, I think during COVID, obviously there was a lot of
migration,
attacks. So there's not a lot of people in our community left. I think it's literally just a handful.
Yeah, very limited people.
Because they were also not only just towards women, but even just to anyone that was Sikh. They faced a lot of troubles. So there's very, very few people left in our community there. Which, from what I've heard recently, they're starting to regret, and they're trying to incentivize people to come back because they're now realizing what our community was obviously contributing. But no, it's pretty much non-existent now, and I think it has been non-existent since for about good 4 or 5 years.
4 years, yeah. When they started attacking all the gurdwaras there,
Yeah.
that's where it was danger to people's life. And then I would say a lot of people from UK, from other countries, they have supported the community there to just migrate to safe countries. But then, as I say, I just think we are very fortunate, and we are talking here about the struggles and the challenges. And when I heard the news, I was just thinking there are women who they might have the dreams as well. They want to live the life as well, and look at that now that they can't even just go and study. I just don't know how. I mean, I can't think myself being in that life. I will suffocate. Yeah.
What's changed if we were to look at it in a different perspective? Obviously, we know the struggles, on opposite ends of the spectrum, but you've been in real estate for 7 to 8 years. You've been hospitality for close to 16 years. What's good? What are the advantages of being a woman and, working, whether it's in a male-dominated industry or just being a woman in the workplace? What are the positive things that you guys look back and think, okay, some things have improved and there has been progress, or something that you personally just see as a achievement or as a successful thing to be working the way you guys are?
I guess the first most important thing to have is your mindset. If you have, and that would be the biggest thing as you're asking. If you are a strong-minded person, and if you don't doubt on yourself, which I would say most women don't have the confidence. So if you doubt yourself, you will never be able to achieve what you want. So I personally think being a woman, I guess being a woman, anyone have got more power than any male, any man. It's just that we always, as a woman, underestimate ourselves.
Yeah.
We always think that we are dependent on men. And that's not the right mindset for women. I personally think woman is much more powerful than a man. And if any woman is strong-minded, then I guess you can survive in this male-dominated world. So yeah, I guess the mindset, personally, I think plays a very big role in women's life, and that's where women are lacking. They underestimate.
Yeah.
I would say definitely the personal skills that you build by being in the workplace and your own personal character. So things like resilience. I think that's a massive conversation. A lot of the work that we provide is to that younger generation, that Gen Z. Now, if I could talk about resilience, commitment, hard work, even just comparing my 15 years in business, Brexit hugely impacted our industry. Hugely,
I guess
because we lost a lot of workers,
correct.
right? And there was something about that European influence on our industry where we had values that ran through it. Hard work just was a thing. People just wouldn't bat an eyelid about the amount of hours they were working or the rights that they held. So I think if you want to enter the workplace full stop, be resilient, realize that hard work pays off. There are not shortcuts. And I think that's something that when you have your own business, you learn, and you really have that embedded into you. You realize there isn't another way. No one's going to wave a wand and make this thing happen for you. So you actually become a better person. You become, I think, someone of immense value because you've allowed yourself to go through a process rather than just be focused on a result right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What continues to motivate you today? to keep working, keep closing those doors, keep opening
I
and
guess-
going global? What keeps you motivated?
I guess the expansion of the business, that will never let me
Sleep.
sleep. That will, it's kind of an addiction. Once you get used to certain things, I can't sit at
Yeah.
home. If I'm at home, I'm still thinking. I'm still like physically I'll be at home, but then mentally I'll be at work. Even when I'm on holidays, there are times when my younger one, she's like, we have to confiscate your phone because you're not allowed to touch your phone for this many hours because you're on a holiday. So it's kind of that now. Once you get addicted to something, then that's it. And with me, that is my addiction to my work will lead me to just carry on. Yeah. Yeah. I just can't resist myself not working.
I always say I'm a hustler.
Yes.
I just love it. I love it. And I'm good at it.
Yeah.
So what motivates me, it is a sense of growth. I think growth in everything. Growth in who you're becoming, growth in who you're impacting, in who you're leading, in the teams that you're building. That gives me kicks. That gives me motivations when I see things come together. And growth of the company, growth of the business. I think if it's in you, it's in you as well. If I watch my energy levels, what really gives me life.
And
I love being on the phone. I love closing the deals. I love people. I love connecting and working out the dots and how that's in just that part of my business life gives me life. So I think it's finding that thing, isn't it? That really gets your juice flowing. You're like, God, I'll do this.
I guess when you are enjoying your work, when you are celebrating your success, I would say, and when you are filled with gratitude of what you have achieved, that will lead you just to move on. I guess, gratitude, when you have gratitude, that just, empowers you more and then it showers more. So
it's very true.
Yeah.
It's a powerful currency, gratitude.
Yeah. So that just motivates you to just, okay, next. And you know what? The good thing, once you have set your goals and you achieved them, then you're like, okay, what next? I always look forward. So once I have set up something for me and I just done it and I'm like, okay, now let's go for a bit more challenging, but more difficult things. So I guess those things, it just is like, okay, motivates you just to move on towards and once you tasted something, once you felt something which you always desired, then you always want to get to the better of it, to the higher of it. So that's a non-ending thing.
Yeah. So for you, obviously, I think if I was to ask for advice, obviously you would say mindset and, that self-confidence and not having to be dependent on someone.
Correct.
So Sarah, what would you say? What would you suggest and advice to anyone that maybe needs a little bit more motivation? They need that reassurance that it's going to be okay and they can succeed and they can achieve anything they set their mind to. What would you say that little tip or that trick would be?
I would say focus and have fun.
Yes.
If you're not having fun in the process, it is genuinely pointless. No. It really, you live one life. I'll tell you a story now. My sister passed away last year. So she was 31 and she was 6 months pregnant when we found out she had stage 3 breast cancer. So she gave birth to my nephew and then passed away when he was 7 months. But watching her in that last seven months was the most life-giving experience, one of the most life-giving experiences of my life. Because her perspective on life was just so clear. That doesn't matter. Why are you worrying about that? Let that go. Yeah. Say yes. Do it. You want to do that thing? Do it now. Book that trip. Say yes to that business thing. You're over worrying about that person? You don't need them in their life. No. Like, her advice was so clear.
Yeah.
And
She
that
has
really changed my
clarity.
mindset. It was having exactly that, being able to let things go, be clear on where you're going, and have fun and say yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. I feel like there was a lot of wisdom in this room today, so I feel really happy because I've learnt a lot from both of you. But yeah, thank you for sharing your thoughts. Thank you for sharing your journeys, digging in really deep. Sometimes it can be really sensitive to talk about these things as well, but I know myself and everyone else will really appreciate that. So yeah, thanks.
Thanks for
Thank you
having
for having
us.
us. Yeah, thank
It's
you.
been amazing.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.